No steel, no concrete, just sand and rock. Yet this island still hasn't sunk. Every one of these 17 fronds began as nothing but open water. Dubai had run out of coastline, so engineers decided to build more. Move too fast here, and storms could erode everything before it began. 9 barges, 4 dredgers, 15 tugboats, an armada aimed at empty sea. Open swell rolled in unopposed. Nothing yet stood between it and the shore. Before a single rock was placed, divers mapped every meter of this seabed. Now came the answer. Mountains of rock, hauled in to hold the line. Boulder by boulder, the crescent spine rose straight out of the water. Piece by piece, a wall built to tame the entire Arabian Gulf. Every barge towed in added another stretch to this growing barrier line. Now came the hardest part, shaping loose sand into a perfect palm. Surveyors walked the edges daily, keeping millions of tons precisely on target. A specialized dredger arrived on site, ready to spray the outline into existence. Sand arced high through the air in a technique engineers call rainbowing. Frond by frond, the palm's unmistakable shape began emerging from the sea. Every droplet that landed added weight to something the world had never built. But loose sand still couldn't hold a single building. Not yet, anyway. Engineers tested the ground first, checking whether this new land could bear weight. The fix arrived on a platform built to shake the island stronger. Vibrating probes and pressurized water slowly packed the sand into solid ground. Grid by grid, loose seabed became a foundation strong enough to build on. Point by point, the rig moved on, leaving firmer ground behind it. Seal the lagoon completely, and the water trapped inside would eventually die. Engineers modeled the flow, and the enclosed water simply wasn't moving enough. So crews returned to cut 2 gaps straight through their own wall. Rock by rock, the barrier opened until the sea could breathe again. 2 openings, each over 300 feet wide, kept the lagoon alive. Now, open water threads through daily, carrying oxygen back into the lagoon. But the crescent still sat disconnected, reachable from the trunk only by boat. Surveyors sounded the gap first, mapping a route 25 meters straight down. A barge arrived carrying a tunnel section built to sink into place. Cable by cable, the massive structure sank toward the waiting trench below. 6 lanes, 30,000 tons of steel, now sealed 25 meters underwater. Every steel connection mattered here. This tunnel would carry traffic for decades. Trunk and crescent were finally one, joined together beneath the waves themselves. An island surrounded by seawater still had no water anyone could drink. The plan called for turning seawater into fresh water, right on the island. Reverse-osmosis equipment arrived by barge, finally ready to solve the shortage. Piece by piece, the desalination system was bolted and sealed into place. A facility now stood ready to make the island self-sufficient for water. One final seal, tested and secure before the system could go live. Inside, a control room now tracks every gallon moving through the system. A single command opens a valve, and desalinated water starts flowing out. A technician checks the reading, and the whole system settles into rhythm. Needles settle slowly into range, proof the entire system is working correctly. Around the clock, this yard keeps producing water no one sees delivered. A second system recycles wastewater, closing the loop the island depends on. Even finished, the island was still just sand. Nothing green, nothing shaded. Over 12,000 trees, grown in a nursery, arrived ready to plant. Root by root, crews turned bare sand into something people could live on. Frond by frond, the island turned from construction site into real neighborhood. 2 decades later, the island still catches golden light just like this. This water, this shoreline, none of it existed before the year 2001. Villas, resorts, a working marina, all standing on land the sea once covered. At sunset, it's easy to forget this entire shape was ever manufactured. But it was. Just sand, rock, and precision. Nothing more, nothing less. Today, the same circulation openings still keep this lagoon alive and breathing. What began as an idea during economic crisis is still standing today. The waves still hit this same rock, only now an island stands behind it.